Homelessness affects everyone.
I was in the meat trade 30 years.
It affects the individuals.
I'm going through a lot of rubbish in life, basically.
It affects society.
They just kicked me out.
It affects the city.
I had a job that went wrong.
There's a broad spread from late teenagers.
Since I quit the job, everything fall apart.
People are no more than 2 pay packets away from homelessness.
Homelessness has risen dramatically in the last few years. According to a recent study, 307,000 people across Britain are in this situation. This means that 1 in every 200 people don't have a home. Cambridge is no exception. Only last year, 40 people were counted to be sleeping in the streets. But why is it that homelessness is increasing every year? What is being done about it and who is it affecting? Join us today to understand the reason behind it.
I've spent about 12 years on the streets. I have a breakfast in the Wintercomfort, in the mornings, so that's one meal I don't have to pay for. You get your money from the big issue, right? And then that gives you your money for your food and any basic necessities. I use day centres for showers. Sometimes you get food there. This is your starting point for the day if you're out on the streets.
If you read the national statistics and the data that's been collected, then yes, there has been quite a significant increase.
Probably starting in 2010, this was the sort of effect of the most recent economic downturn.
If we look at people that are on the streets, but also social housing or supported housing, then it's a big increase over the years.
Shocking, really, how much the crisis is growing and expanding, regardless of the amount of support that is out there, especially at this time of year.
Where homeless people get attracted to, which you can understand, are vibrant towns and cities.
There are still plenty of people who turn up from different towns and cities looking for accommodation and support.
They think that opportunity is there for housing, and in hindsight it really isn't.
Cambridge is perceived as wealthier and people are more willing to give money. So usually in Street Bike we do shifts at every mealtime.
We've got like a route that we kind of know there are people on.
It's usually like Grafton direction and kind of down by the big Sainsbury's. You'll find people, but obviously people move around and depending on weather, it's kind of hard to know what people want. Like coffee is usually good.
They give sandwiches at night and during the day. And if you're hungry and thirsty, they give you something to drink as well.
Homelessness is complex and can affect everyone. However, young people are one of the age groups that have been hit the most. Over the last year, 26% of Britain's young people slept in an unsafe place because they had nowhere else to go.
Well, I was living with my dad and he was getting a little bit tired of me. All I would do was sit on my computer playing my games online, so I did get a job, but it wasn't good enough for him, so he eventually just kicked me out. If I didn't have this place to live, I would have been on the streets. Most people, I would assume, think about homeless as in alcoholics and other sort of things like that on the streets, but really it's not my choice to be homeless. People just assume that homeless people are like bad and they didn't do anything right, but it's not always the case. I don't think that homeless people are bad, I just think that they got dealt a bad hand in life. I'd like to help if I could, but obviously I'm homeless myself.
The YMCA specifically in Cambridge is supporting young people that are homeless. I think youth homelessness is increasing. Young people don't want to be homeless. There's a cause and a reason why. We've got young people that have been in the care system. We have people that have had issues maybe with family, they've arguments with families, mum or dad.
Then me and my stepdad didn't get on well together, kind of have a fight, things like that, I got kicked out as well. I know quite a lot of people younger than me and same age as me that becoming homeless.
It's one of the most heartbreaking issues is that there's a lot of young individuals that have grown up in the system, so to speak, and haven't been given the opportunities to socially have the same social mobility to get themselves out of that situation, to attain education, to attain opportunity, to actually progress.
The causes of homelessness are very complex. Some people it's because of illness, others it's because of their financial situation. The economy is biting people. For others it can be because of, shall we say, habits, or it can be a mixture of all of those coming together.
People started losing their accommodation because of loss of job, or simply that their earnings weren't keeping up with their outgoings.
Before I was homeless, I would always feel bad for homeless people, but then I would always think to myself, why can't they just go out and get a job? Some of them don't even have a change of clothes to go for an interview with, so you never know what they can or can't do.
With increasing economic instability, finding a job is harder than ever. The lack of affordable housing has led some people to extreme situations where they become reliant on charities and shelters in order to survive.
I think it's very difficult for anybody to find affordable housing in Cambridge. We know that house prices have risen very sharply, housing rents have risen very sharply, and of course over the last few years wages have not kept pace. There's very little housing that's cheap, other than housing that's owned by councils or housing associations. They have the particular problem that the government has introduced very severe cuts in the amount of money they can borrow to build houses. So the City Council is doing what it can, but it's got a very small housing programme, it's trying to increase it, but at the moment there simply isn't enough to go around. Housing associations and the council together have only about 11,000 homes in the city. That produces about 500 lettings a year, and there are 2,500 people on the council's waiting list. If you're homeless, or if you're looking for anywhere to rent and you need housing benefit, then you'd have to move out of Cambridge and live in one of the villages. Now, if you're looking for a job, then this is pretty disastrous because you're miles away from where the jobs are, they're in Cambridge.
I mean, homelessness in Britain is rising as well. It's just everywhere. There was loads on the streets. The Cambridge Council, I don't really know what they're doing.
No, not enough. I think they could do better than what they're doing now, really.
Government policies have impacted a lot on young people. Almost impossible for a young person to rent privately unless they're on a well-paid job.
I think the government's recognised that there is a serious problem. The local authorities really have very little freedom for manoeuvre in this situation. They're suffering very severe budget cuts, which mean they're getting rid of staff, they're reducing the services that they can provide to the public. Everyone's been pointing persistently to the low level of house building that's been going on in this country for the last 20 years.
Central government is helping a lot in terms of directing funding towards homelessness. This year funding has actually been increased. The council has managed to secure £70 million worth of funds from government to build more houses, and it intends to build another 500 affordable homes. In terms of what we can do to prevent homelessness, more important than solving addressing homeless problems is looking at trying to prevent homelessness further upstream, as it were. Working with social workers, health professionals, etc. We are finding that we're picking up cases a lot earlier and looking to prevent them becoming homeless further down the line, and we've had a number of successes with that. Not just because of the impact it will have on the families, but also it will save local authorities an awful lot of money if we work harder to prevent homelessness at an earlier stage.
While political solutions are trying to be implemented to prevent homelessness, shelters and charities are working hard to cover the basic needs of people who are already in this situation. They offer them all kinds of support so they can carry on and eventually overcome their situation.
Well, years ago I was homeless, and this place helped me get over that, get my own place and to me, I'm one of these people that if people help me, I help them.
I've been coming to Wintercomfort now for over 20 years. They've given me my life back, really. It's helped me to turn things around. With support, with absolutely everything. If you really want to sort your life out, this is the place to come, especially if you're having trouble with homelessness. You could be standing there like me in a few months and have managed to have turned your life around, yeah. Cheers.
I think, you know, our young people at school need to be educated about what homelessness is.
Even if I can't give them money, I'll say sorry and talk to them, because I think it's really dehumanising to just walk past.
They're just humans, and people don't treat them like humans.
And we need to create an environment and a community where everyone feels they have an entitlement to opportunity, to progression, to love, to housing, to shelter, to food, and to the basic necessities that as human beings we all desire and require.
These individuals are human beings with human emotions, human feelings and human failings.
I interact with people that are less fortunate than me, and I kind of tell them my experience and that things are possible, and it is possible to turn things around from the situation you're in. So, yeah.